Hola a todo el mundo y bienvenido a mi canal. Yo me llamo Sirey. Soy una abogada latina licenciada y practicando las leyes criminales, pero como todos ustedes, a mí me fascina cuando estamos hablando de casos de crímenes reales. En este video vamos a hablar del caso, espérate. Vamos a seguir hablando del caso de Donna Adelson. Si quieren más video en español, nada más dime allá. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Desiree. I'm a licensed and practicing Afro-Latino criminal attorney who, much like the rest of you, has a severe fascination with true crime cases. Listen, like I said, we were going to continue on in our saga talking about the entirety of Donna's trial, and that's exactly what I intend to do this video. I'm a woman of my word. I like to keep my promises to you guys. And so without further ado, let's just carry on. The second week of Donna's trial continued on Monday, August 25th of 2025. On this day, the prosecution had one of their investigators testify as to the divorce filings and all of the motions and all of the records between Dan and Wendi. Although we're not going to take time to discuss the investigator's testimony itself, I do want to talk to you guys about how these documents can be introduced at trial. Typically, documents of public record are considered self-authenticating. And when I say self-authenticating, I just mean documents that can introduce themselves at trial without the need of further foundation being laid. And further foundation just means having more questions be asked to the witness in order to lay the foundation to introduce the document. A public record is basically all of the documents we're talking about here. The divorce filings, the child custody disputes, basically anything filed into a court record. Those documents are typically considered self-authenticating because they're a record of the court. There will typically be a seal on the document that says where the document is from. And in order to introduce those at trial, the prosecution can just submit them into evidence because, as I said, they're self-authenticating. But in this way, it's really nice that the prosecution has their investigator explain it prior to just introducing it to the jury. For me personally, I would do it in the exact same way that the prosecutors here did it. So sure, these are self-authenticating documents, and they don't require additional foundation in order to be introduced into evidence. So theoretically, the prosecutors here could have just submitted these documents into evidence, and the jury would be allowed to consider them. The reason I think it is smart to do it the way that the prosecutors did it is because now you have an expert, not really like expert by virtue of training, but someone who does this for a living, like an investigator does investigations for a living, just testifying as to what his findings were. And it just paints a clearer picture for the jurors. And I know I already discussed it, but because you guys are my brilliant little scholars, and I know that it's important to you as much as it is to me for us to review statutes together, let's go through Florida revised statutes to see what exactly self-authenticating documents are. Florida Revised Statute 90.902 defines what are considered self-authenticating documents. 90.902, self-authentication. Extrinsic evidence of authenticity as a condition precedent to admissibility is not required for 1. A document bearing a seal purporting to be that of the United States or any state, district, commonwealth, territory, or insular possession thereof. The Panama Canal Zone, the trust territory of the Pacific Islands, or a court, political subdivision, department, officer, or agency of any of them. And B, a signature by the custodian of the document attesting to the authenticity of the seal. Or 2, document not bearing a seal, but purporting to bear a signature of an officer or employee of any entity listed in subsection 1, affixed in the officer's or employee's official capacity. There's more subsections, but I don't want to get into them because those are the two that are relevant to this case in this story. So as I stated, a self-authenticating document is one that does not require additional foundation to be laid in order for the document to be admitted into evidence. Pay attention to what I said and what I just read to you. The self-authenticating documents typically will have a seal. in that seal or somewhere around that seal or near that seal or under that seal, somewhere in the document will be a signature of an officiant. That is what makes the document itself self-authenticating. Does that make sense? Now, without further ado, after listening to the investigator testify as to the documents in Wendi and Dan's divorce and child custody dispute, Wendi Adelson herself took the stand. Now, do you guys remember in the last video how we discussed that Katherine Magbanua was given an extraordinary offer of transactional immunity? And do you guys also remember that I told you that commonly used are two different types of immunity, transactional and use? Now, transactional, like I said last time, is just full immunity. I'm just going to simplify it there. If you want more of my explanation, please return to the last video. Use immunity means that I'm giving you limited immunity for the purposes of your testimony and cooperation, but should I choose to charge you in the future, anything that you say pursuant to this use immunity cannot and will not be used against you. Does that make sense? So Wendi was also given immunity, but unlike Katherine, she wasn't given complete immunity. Instead, she was given use immunity.
Please raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you will give today in this trial will be the truth? You may be seated. Please adjust the microphone as you need to so you can be clearly heard. Ms. Kappelman, you may examine.
Please state your name and spell your name.
Wendi Adelson, Wendiadelson.
Ms. Adelson, where are you from?
I'm from Coral Springs, Florida.
And you live in another state now, currently, right?
I do, yes, ma'am.
All right. How are you employed?
I'm an immigration attorney.
How long have you been an attorney?
Since 2006.
And you're here pursuant to a state subpoena, is that correct?
Yes.
And that subpoena confers a type of immunity on you. Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay. Which means that nothing you say here in court pursuant to that subpoena can be used against you at a later time. Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay, but it doesn't necessarily mean you could never be prosecuted. It just means that what you say in court could not be used in any future prosecution. Do you understand that?
Yes.
As you guys just saw, the prosecution directly asked Wendi while she was on the stand if she was given immunity and if she understood the particularities about the type of immunity that she was given. Why I think that this was a smart and strategic decision on behalf of the prosecution is because you never want to be seen as hiding anything from any jurors ever. So by getting it out in the forefront, yes, we had to drag this woman here to testify, and yes, she was granted immunity, but let me explain what type of immunity she was granted, and let's just explain some of the little particulars here. I just think it's smart, and I think it was a really good decision on behalf of the prosecution to do that. Before I show you some more about Wendi's testimony, I'll just give you my opinions on her testimony as I've seen it so far. Wendi has testified in all of the trials of all of the co-conspirators in this case. She testified in the first trial against Garcia and Katherine, and then she testified in Katherine's retrial. She also testified in her brother Charlie's trial, and here she is testifying against her mother. I don't like this woman. But it's not for me to like her or dislike her. Right? I think that she's conniving. I think that she's sneaky. I just think that she is just a snake, a slime ball. She's just everything negative I can think of. For you to want us to believe, Miss Lawyer Esquire, that your entire family conspired to get rid of your husband over a child dispute or child custody dispute, my apologies, that you two were having and you had no idea and you didn't cooperate with them is bonkers. We were born at night. We weren't born last night. What kind of crap is that? But as always, I want you guys to be the judges for yourselves.
Was your mom, Donna Adelson, involved at all in drafting your divorce documents?
No.
Did she ever make any edits to any of the filings that you made pursuant to your divorce?
I think she made suggestions, but I had an attorney, a very good attorney, helping me through the process, so she wasn't editing legal documents.
Did you ever forward any of your mom's suggestions to your lawyer?
I probably did.
And when you did that, would you attribute them to your mom, or would you just forward them along without noting whether they were your questions or your mom's questions?
I honestly don't remember.
Was this a contentious divorce?
It was.
As part of your divorce, did you file a petition to ask the court for permission to relocate to South Florida?
I did.
And I think that was your amended petition. Not sure if we can see that very well. Here we go. It says the wife also desires to relocate to South Florida in order to provide a better quality of life for the children by increasing their access to close family and providing more stability and consistency. Who was the close family that was available in South Florida for the boys?
My mom, my dad, and my brother.
Why did you want to move to South Florida?
I had very unstable employment in Tallahassee. I had a wonderful job, but it was on grant money. So year to year, I never knew if I would still have my job. I had a job offer that was very good in South Florida. And the assumption was that Danny was always going to be at a different school, a better school. He used to joke that he would take one bar exam for every 2 bar exams that I had to take while we moved around the country. And so it seemed like a way of having stability while he was climbing up the law professor ladder to be ultimately at Harvard or Yale.
And was relocation important to you?
It was, in terms of having a safe and stable place for my kids.
Did you consider having to live here in Tallahassee being stuck? Or had you referred to it previously as being stuck in Tallahassee?
I mean, I may have. The idea of being stuck is if you don't have permission to live anywhere you want to live. But I had a nice quality of life here.
Did you consider the worst case scenario to be that you would end up stuck here in Tallahassee if your petition was denied?
I don't know. I mean, at the time, I may have felt that way.
Okay. Might you have sent an email to a friend on March 24th of 2013 indicating, quote, "I do fear that the worst case scenario that could happen is that I will be stuck here in Tallahassee"?
It's possible that I sent that.
Would it refresh your recollection to review that item?
I'm happy to.
It's on tab 6 on one of those binders in front of you. Let me see which one. It's going to be this one.
This one? I see it's highlighted. So yes.
Okay. And did you also email a friend around the same time frame regarding life in Tallahassee couldn't compare to the life that you would be able to enjoy in South Florida with your brother Charlie and his boat and pool and hot tub and things like that?
It's certainly possible.
Okay, that's on tab 7. Please refresh your recollection.
Yes.
And in fact, didn't you use the word stuck in your actual motion for relocation? Let's see if we can get there. Here, the wife is merely stuck in Tallahassee until the husband decides that the time is right for him to leave.
So my attorney did write that, and that sounds right.
Did Tallahassee feel claustrophobic to you?
Well, at this point in time, Danny was making lots of unplanned announcements to my office where we worked together. So I would see him at work. I never knew when he was showing up. So I'm sure, this is 12 years ago that's how I felt at that time.
Okay. But outside of the context of your relationship with Dan Markel, did you ever express that just the smallness and slowness of Tallahassee made you feel claustrophobic?
I don't remember saying that.
Please refer to tab 8 to refresh your recollection. That's a dense one. Were you able to find it?
I did. I found it's part of a sentence. Can I read the whole sentence?
Sure.
Tallahassee feels claustrophobic at times, given its smallness and slowness, and the fact that my friends cycle through here with transient regularity. So yes, at that moment in time, that's how I was feeling in 2013.
And relocation was pending at the time that you were feeling that way in that moment, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And relocation was also very important to your mother, wasn't it?
Yes,
All right. And did you have some discussions with your mother about relocation?
I did.
And was that during that time frame when it was pending?
Yes,
Okay. And do you see your mother in the courtroom here today?
yes.
Could you please point her out and describe what she's wearing?
My mom is on right. I can't see her clothes from here, but she's directly across from me.
All right. Is she wearing a headset on her head?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Let the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant. Your mom didn't want you to be stuck in Tallahassee either, did she?
She did not.
She wanted the best for you, right?
She saw the best for me as not being in Tallahassee. Yes.
That's right. She referred to being in Tallahassee that you were a hostage and a prisoner, right?
Yes, she did.
After Wendy's testimony concluded, the jurors were able to hear from the only respectable adult member of the Adelson family that remains, and that's Donna's son, Robert Adelson.
All right. So how did you first hear about Dan Markel's murder?
I heard the day after the shooting occurred, so that would be Saturday, July 19. I was at a meeting in Chicago, and I think I got a phone call first, and then I was in a meeting, and so I just said, Can I call you later? And then I got a text message shortly thereafter, like right before 10 in the morning, that said, like, tragedy here, please call.
And are these from Donna Adelson?
Yes.
Okay. So were you able to call her that morning from the conference in Chicago?
Yeah, so I walked out and went to the hotel lobby and just hit call.
Okay. And tell us about that conversation with her.
So it's one of those moments that you'll just remember forever. So I remember being in the lobby of the Westin, and I assumed something terrible had happened, and but I wasn't ready for it. She said, so we just want to let you know that Danny's been shot, and they took him to the hospital, but he didn't make it. And it didn't make any sense. And I probably asked like a few medical questions, and they said they're driving up to go help Wendi, and we'll talk to you later. We can't talk now.
Okay. Was she crying in that conversation?
Not in that conversation.
Sir?
No, she was not.
Okay.
It was very matter of fact.
Did she ever give you any further detail that weekend about how he'd been shot, or other than just Danny was shot and he didn't make it?
I think it was the next day. So the only really other time that I spoke with him that weekend, I was in the airport going home, like Sunday afternoon. So it was definitely the next day, and it was the first time I could actually have any kind of conversation. And one of the things that she told me is it bothered me, but I didn't have any other details about. But she said that someone went to the front door and said, "Are you Dan Markel?" and then shot him. And then I said, "Well, how could you know that? Who's telling you that?" And she said, "Well, that's just what they're telling us." And
Okay. So she said someone told her that someone knocked on Danny's door, said, "Are you Dan Markel?" He said yes, and the shooter shot him.
That's the story I heard. And, later we found out that wasn't what happened, but that story bothered me a lot because there's only one way you could hear that story.
Was she crying when she told you that information?
No.
You mentioned earlier that law enforcement contacted you after Dan Markel's murder. Did they contact you to try to see if you knew any information?
They came to our house. I was already at work, and so they talked to my wife. It had to be a Wednesday or Thursday, so I was already at work.
And is this your house in New York?
Yes.
Okay. And And did you end up talking to law enforcement and letting them, answering their questions, letting them know what you knew?
Yeah, they came to my office the next day, and we with 2 agents, and we had we had an interview.
Okay. After that conversation with, you said it was the FBI earlier, right?
Yes.
Okay. After that conversation with the FBI, did Donna Adelson ever say anything to you about having talked to law enforcement or the FBI?
It was either that afternoon or the next day, but and she had called me and said, just want to let you know, if the police come around, don't talk to them.
Okay, so she told you not to talk to law enforcement.
Correct.
Did you let her know that you already had talked to law enforcement?
Yeah, I said I already did.
What'd she say to that?
She said, "Oh, well, you don't know anything anyway."
You don't know anything anyway?
Correct.
Was that an unusual statement coming from your mother?
Yeah, everything that week was unusual, but I clearly didn't know anything, but I wasn't going to not talk to the FBI if they show up at my house.
How did you respond? Let me ask you this. After the murder of Dan Markel, did Donna Adelson seem curious about who killed Dan Markel?
No.
Was there a complete lack of curiosity?
Yeah, nobody seemed curious.
Did you actually ever ask her, like, after the murder, like, hey, like, what do you think happened? What do you...
Yeah, and the conversations were kind of rerouted, or that was certainly discouraged, and it was probably like maybe sometime like mid-August, when I finally had a chance to ask and say, what is going on? This was not a small event. This was getting a lot of notoriety, and I said, what do you guys think happened? And she had said, I don't know and I don't care. It doesn't concern me.
Was that out of character for her to not be curious and not be asking some questions?
Yeah, it was an unsolved murder of, my former brother-in-law, like someone that we all know very well. If it was like some neighborhood gossip, people would be interested. This was like national interest, and nobody had any curiosity about, who did this to Danny.
Is a person, you mentioned that, not only is it your brother-in-law, but it was like national news at that point as well.
Yes.
And regardless of it being national news or not, is a person dying from gun violence an extremely unusual thing to happen in your family?
Yeah, to this day, Danny's the only person that I know who's died from gun violence or been a victim of gun violence. So it's unique in that manner.
What would your mom, Donna Adelson, do if you did try to ask her any more about Danny's murder after that?
It wasn't a subject for discussion. It would be rerouted, or it was just not a subject to discuss.
When you say rerouted, do you mean like changing the subject?
Yeah.
Okay.
Robert's testimony broke my heart. It was really sad to watch. I feel like he was on the verge of crying every time he answered a question. That is not a position he wants to be in. He doesn't want to be testifying against his mother. He doesn't want his whole family to be all over the news for this disgraceful, heinous, criminal concoction conspiracy that they've all participated in. He doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be there. But he's a law-abiding citizen, and he'll cooperate with whatever's needed of him. But you could tell that emotionally. It was hard. It was hard for him. I tell you guys in every video when we discuss family members, it is not that easy, period. It is not that easy. I'm in a courtroom every day. I see it every day. It is not that easy to just disregard your family members because they did something you don't agree with. I understand we all have our opinions about Donna and the Adelsons, me included, but that is still his mother. Overall, Robert did a phenomenal job. I'm sorry that he found himself in such terrible, terrible circumstances. And hopefully the last time we hear from him is when the prosecution charges Wendi. I have no insider information about that. I'm just saying that because that is my hope, as I'm sure it's most of your hopes as well. Robert's testimony actually concluded Monday, and so we returned on Tuesday, August 26th of 2025 for continued testimony. the first person to my knowledge that testified. And the reason I'm saying it like that is because I want you guys to be forgiving of me and just show me grace if I'm not getting the exact order of how witnesses testified. So I'll say it like that. The person that I believe testified first on this day was one of Wendy's ex-boyfriends, a man by the name of Jeff Lacasse.
Please repeat your answer.
Yeah, the only way she'd ever be able to relocate is if something happened to Danny, was the first statement.
Okay, and did she mention anything further about something
Well,
to Danny?
can I give the context before the next?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was getting a little tired of this whole drama around the relocation. And so I pushed back on Wendi a little bit and said, like, you're going to have to kind of make your peace with this. You're going to have to take some responsibility for this. You're linked to Dan Markel for life. Kind of challenged her a little bit. And she said, well, can I tell you something confidentially? And I said, sure. And she said, last summer.
Repeat the same objection or same court's ruling.
Same ruling remains. The objection is overruled. And they continue with your answer.
She
Can
said,
I tell you something in confidence?
yeah, can I tell you something? After I challenge her, can I tell you something in confidence? Sure. Well, last summer, my brother looked into all options possible to take care of the Danny Markel problem, including hiring a hitman, and it would cost about $15,000.
Okay, and when she referred to her brother, she's got two of those, right?
She said Charlie.
Okay. And when she said Charlie looked into hiring a hitman, are you familiar with Charlie's joke? I looked into hiring a hitman, but got you a TV as a divorce present because it was cheaper.
Yeah, Wendi had told me that joke a couple of times. This was not that joke.
Okay, so this was something different.
Yeah, the joke was said with levity. It's a dark joke, but this I found chilling. I found disturbing. It made my stomach flip. It kind of took me aback. She was dead serious when she said this. And she'd asked to tell me in confidence, which you don't do before you tell a joke.
Okay. So I want to take you to the next day then. So we're at July 14th, the Monday before the murder.
Yes.
Did you see Wendi Adelson on that date?
Yes. We had contact throughout the day trying to arrange some kind of date. It kind of ebbed and flowed. But she was real enthusiastic about seeing me at one point. And then like mid-afternoon, let's just meet at yoga is what was decided. So we went to yoga.
Okay. What happened after yoga?
Well, I was wondering why we were at yoga because when he was being very strange, I felt like the relationship was over. She wasn't feeling well. I'm not a big yoga guy, so I didn't understand why we were at yoga for like 80 minutes, stretching. But then when we left yoga, we barely spoke, and I was just getting a vibe that this is over. Tried to talk about the relationship. Didn't go very well. It was pretty clear to me. My internal thoughts were like, well, this is over. So she didn't want to spend time with me the rest of the week. So I just put my hands up like this. I remember this vividly and just turned around and walked away.
Where were you when that was happening?
We're in the parking lot of Journey's Yoga over by Winn-Dixie.
Okay, so you have your two respective vehicles there. And
Yes.
you're parting ways.
Yes.
Okay, what happens as you walk away?
Get about 10, 15 feet away from her and she calls after me. I turn around and she had a series of detailed questions about what I would be doing on Friday. I had a trip to Tennessee planned and she wanted to know if I was going on that trip. And she wanted to know what route I would be taking. And if I didn't go on the trip, why wouldn't I go on the trip? And I answered the questions as best I could, but I was confused why at that moment she wanted to know the details of what I was doing on Friday when she expressly didn't want to spend time with me on Friday.
Okay, and we now know that Dan Markel was murdered on Friday.
Yes.
If you had taken the trip as planned, which is as you reported to Wendi that day, what would your route have been?
I would have left my house at about 11 a.m., which Wendi knew. I'd related my plan to her earlier in the relationship. Needed to get to Atlanta for dinner and was worried about traffic and stuff like that. So I would have left at 11 and I would have driven down. I would have got to Capitol Circle in Thomasville, which is close enough to Danny's house that it kind of gave me the creeps. It was kind of weird. Yeah.
Okay. So physically, you're saying you might have been sort of consistent with how the killers fled town.
Yeah.
Jeff's testimony also struck me as a little bit sad, but I think kind of in a different way. Finding love is hard, right? And I feel like there's people in the world who are just hopeless romantics and they want to believe the good in absolutely everyone, and they find themselves in positions much like Jeff's. I mean, maybe not exactly, but kind of similar. I think that Wendi used him. She used him, she abused him, she was trying to get him set up. And here's this poor guy on the stand, just having to relive his horrible experience with this woman who he clearly was still in love with. All of it's just all bad. I appreciate Jeff's honesty. Jeff has also testified in many of the trials that we discussed previously. He's been completely credible. He has been super cooperative. And once again, I feel like Jeff did a phenomenal job. After Jeff's testimony, the jurors heard from two people who had specific connections to Charlie Adelson. One of his ex-girlfriends, a woman by the name of June Umchinda, and his ex-best friend, a man by the name of Ryan Fitzpatrick. In summary, I felt like the most important part that was gathered from either of their testimonies was the fact that Charlie kept his money in a very particular way. I don't care what Charlie said when he was on the stand. For him to want us to believe that people are out here just carrying money and stapling it in the corners is crazy. What if you rip it when you're trying to tear the money apart? That's just silly. That's just silly. That's just silly. It might be a generational thing, right? Right? But I don't even carry money on me, like ever. Like ever. In my wallet right now is $1, one singular dollar bill. I don't carry cash. I think it's interesting that he even has cash, let alone that much cash, and let alone having it stapled. All of it's just interesting. But I think that they offered a lot of cooperation as far as that was concerned. And I think it was a smart job on behalf of the prosecutors to call them. I will say, though, I don't know if they needed to call both of them. The reason I say that is because, in my opinion, June kind of gives Claire and Clueless vibes. Do you know what I'm saying? And Ryan just is a straight, straight shooter. It is what it is type of guy. I think the prosecution might have been okay just calling Ryan, but I also understand why they wanted to call both of them, specifically because having two separate people saying the exact same thing just kind of rings more credible to the jurors. Regardless, both of them did a fine job, and as with all of the other witnesses that we've talked about today, they've also testified in previous trials. They continue to do well, and they did well here. After a few more witnesses, the prosecution actually called one of Donna's co-conspirators. Let me correct that statement. Convicted co-conspirators. Katherine Magbanua to the stand.
Please say your name and spell your name.
Katherine Magbanua, KATHERINE
Ms. Magbanua, are you in custody?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you serving a sentence?
Yes, ma'am.
For what?
Life
Life for what? Crime.
for the murder of Dan Markel.
And did you have a trial before you received that sentence?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in that trial, did you testify in your own defense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in that testimony, did you testify that essentially we had it right about everyone else, but you were in the dark, you weren't involved in any way?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And was that true?
No, ma'am.
All right. And you didn't have to testify in your own defense. You could have chosen to remain silent, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you testified also in the trial in which Garcia was convicted, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And same thing there. You testified, you did not tell the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And why then come now with a different story?
I think that the truth needed to come out and the people responsible needed to get arrested.
Okay. Are you hoping to get something out of this?
I would eventually like to see my children again one day.
And are you hoping that something can be done for you even after being sentenced?
Yes, ma'am. I'm hoping so.
Have you been promised anything
No,
in
ma'am.
exchange for your testimony?
No, ma'am, I have not.
Okay. By me or by anyone?
No, ma'am. Nobody.
Okay. Has anybody told you what you need to say here today?
No, ma'am.
Has anybody told you, well, you need to implicate a certain person?
No, ma'am.
Weren't you originally offered immunity in this case to come forward with the truth?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Why did you not take that opportunity?
Well, in the first trial, I was tried with Sigfredo Garcia, and he was facing the death penalty, and I just couldn't do it.
Okay, because the truth would implicate your child's father.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What about the second time?
I've been living a lie this whole time, and it was just so hard to come out with the truth that I kept fighting.
Did anybody threaten you or harm you to prevent you from coming forward with the truth?
No, ma'am.
Were you ever promised anything by anyone to, if you'll just remain silent, we'll pay for your kids' education or anything like that?
No, ma'am.
Were you involved in the death of Dan Markell?
Yes, ma'am.
Did we have it right? Were you the middleman between the shooter and Charlie Adelson?
Yes, ma'am.
Who solicited you to become involved in this?
Charlie.
Who was he to you at that time?
We were dating at that time.
When did you start dating Charlie Adelson?
We started dating around 2013 when I was working for Sophie Dental.
Okay. Do you know what month?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And when did you stop dating him?
Probably towards the beginning of 2015.
Okay. Was there a period of time where it kind of wasn't clear whether you were still with Charlie or dating Garcia?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And Garcia is your child's father, right?
Yes.
And what's your history with him? How long were you together?
I've been with Sigfredo Garcia since I was about 18 years old.
Right. So a lot of history there.
Yes, ma'am.
Fair to say that you're on again, off again quite a few times throughout your history together.
Yes, ma'am.
And during one of those off times, is that when you started seeing Charlie Adelson?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And then toward the end of Charlie Adelson, there was a little bit of overlap with the two men.
Yes, ma'am.
And that sort of is in the middle of the time frame that we're talking about here today, right?
Yes, ma'am.
When did Charlie Adelson first bring this idea up to you that I'm looking for someone to harm my brother-in-law?
This was around October. What stuck out in my head was on Halloween on October 31st.
Okay. And what year was that?
That was 2013.
Okay. And so on Halloween, what is your memory of what y'all were doing that night that you're able to remember that happened that night?
Well, we were out in Lincoln Road. It was like a kind of like a block party in Lincoln Road. And then when we were getting ready to get into our cars, he jumped into my car, and he basically suggested that do I know anybody that can harm someone?
Okay. And were those the words he used, harm?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you know somebody that could harm someone?
Yes, ma'am. At that time, Sigfredo was the first person that kind of popped in my head.
When I think of members of the conspiracy, I can say that Katherine is one of the ones that I think least fondly of. Not to say that I think fondly of any of them. They're committing murders. They're just horrible people in general. But Katherine is a liar. She strikes me as a liar. And not to say that the others haven't lied. I just think that she's different. I feel like she wanted to avoid accountability at all costs. And now she's testifying because she thinks it might potentially be helpful and beneficial to her. But let's not forget that Katherine declined a complete immunity offer. She wouldn't even be in prison right now had she accepted and chosen to cooperate to begin with. She is, and I'm trying to use my words carefully, she's a dodo brain. I don't know why she did this. According to her, she didn't want to give up her child's father, so she didn't want to testify against Charlie Adelson, because in turn that would give up her child's father. Whatever. She made her decision. Now she's going to have to live with it. And hopefully, I don't know, she feels good about the decision she made. Next. Wednesday, August 27th, 2025, and Thursday, August 28th, 2025, were much of just law enforcement witnesses testifying about their findings. I don't want to get too deep into that because it's not really something that I want to touch on a whole lot for the purposes of this video, but I just wanted to let you guys know what happened on those days nonetheless. That brings us to our final day of Donna's first full week of trial, Friday, August 29th of 2025. What happened this day was actually pretty exciting. It was titillating. Is that the proper word to use in this situation? But it was actually really riveting because on this day, jurors actually heard from 2 jailhouse informants about being in the same incarceration units as Donna and about their private conversations that they had with her.
Once you and Donna Adelson became close friends, did she ever talk to you about her pending case, this case?
She did.
When y'all would have those conversations, did you ever outright ask her whether she did what she's accused of?
I did.
And what did she say to that?
She said she did. It was to keep her grandkids, but it wasn't supposed to go that far.
Okay. So she said she did do it and she did it to keep her grandkids.
Yes.
But she didn't expect it to go this far.
Yes.
Did Donna Adelson ever ask if you were ever in custody with a woman named Katherine Magbanua?
Yes, she did.
And were you ever in custody with Katherine Magbanua?
Yes.
Was that several years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
And about how long were you in custody with Magbanua for?
About a year or two.
Now, did you tell Donna Adelson that? Did you let her know that you had been in custody with Magbanua?
Yeah.
Since you had been in custody with Magbanua, once Donna Adelson knew that, what did Donna Adelson want you to do?
She wanted me to say that Magbanua told me when we killed him, I knew my boyfriend and parents had money.
Okay, so basically, she and some other people did this crime, and they did it because her boyfriend's parents had money.
Yes.
Who did she want you to tell that to?
She wanted me to tell it to whoever came up and asked me about it, and the investigators.
Okay. Did she offer you anything in exchange for you providing that information?
Yes.
What did she offer you?
A trailer and some land, and she would have her husband fix my teeth.
Okay. So, like, if you got out of custody, she'd help you buy a trailer and land?
Yes.
And that her husband could fix your teeth?
Yes.
Like veneers?
Yes.
Now, was any of that true as far as did Magbanua ever say those things to you?
No, she did not.
Did Donna Adelson give you other gifts while in custody?
Yes.
Like what?
She would buy canteen and she would bring it over to my bed.
What's canteen?
Canteen is food that we buy off commissary.
Okay. It's kind of like chips and candy and other things that
and noodles and stuff like that.
Okay. But it costs money to buy those things?
Yes.
Okay. But she would buy those or extra and she'd give it to you?
Yes.
Were you recently incarcerated in the Leon County Jail with Donna Adelson?
Yes, I was.
And did you become friendly with her during the time that y'all were both in the jail together?
Yes.
How long were you together in the jail?
I can't remember exactly, maybe around 4 months.
All right. Were you in the same pod that whole 4 months?
Yes.
And when you're in the pod together in jail, is it easier to become friendly than it is on the outside?
Yes.
Why is that?
We're together 24/7, so.
All right. Can you describe your friendship with Mrs. Adelson?
Yes. Initially, it was very nice. She actually called me her jail daughter, and she and I got close, and How much more detail do you want?
Well, by close, did you talk to each other about personal things like your
Yes.
life?
Yes.
Okay. And did she have a nickname for you besides her jail daughter?
Yes, Sunshine.
I want to ask you about whether Mrs. Adelson, during the time that y'all were friendly, ever discussed her case with you.
Yes.
Okay. And was her bringing up her case something that she did a lot, or was it only one time?
It was often
Okay. So it was something that she was
doing
talking
a lot.
about daily.
Yes.
Okay. And was it a bunch of different aspects of her case she would talk about, or only one thing?
It was different aspects.
At some point, did you end up reaching out to law enforcement to report some of the things that she had been saying to you about her case?
Yes, I did.
And why did you do that?
Well, initially I did it for selfish reasons, but more that I spent time with Dawn, I realized that it was morally correct and I wanted to get justice for the Markel family.
Okay, so you felt it was the right thing to do, but you were also hoping to get something out of it.
Yes.
And what kind of thing were you hoping to get out of it?
Just help, lighter sentence, maybe rehab.
Okay, and are you still hoping that might be the outcome for you?
Maybe, but right now I'm more interested in justice for the Markel family.
Did Donna Adelson ever talk to you when she was talking about her case? Did she ever mention any concerns about the testimony of her son, Rob Adelson?
She did. She said she was extremely worried about his testimony.
Okay, so that was something that she brought up often or only
Yeah.
one time?
A few times.
Okay. Did she ever mention to you a state witness by the name of Katherine Magbanua?
Yes.
And was Ms. Magbanua somebody that was known to you?
Yes, I knew Miss Magbanua from being locked up with her years before.
And how did she first bring up Magbanua to you, or did you bring Magbanua up to her?
I can't remember exactly how it was brought up. I just know that it was brought to her attention.
Brought to her attention that you knew Magbanua?
Yeah.
Okay. And at some point, did the defendant try to recruit you to become a witness for her in this case?
Yes.
How did she first approach you about that?
She asked me if I would be willing to do it, and I said yes.
Okay. And was this topic discussed one time or more than one time?
More than once.
How many times can you estimate? A lot?
A lot, yes.
Okay. And what is it that she wanted you to testify about?
She wanted me to testify about numerous different things about Kay, mostly about Miss Magbanua.
And Miss Magbanua, you knew her by the nickname Kay?
Yes.
Okay. And so she had some things she wanted you to say about Kay.
Correct.
At some point, did she prepare a script for you of exactly what she wanted you to testify to?
She did.
I'm going to approach and show you what I've marked as State's Exhibit 62. Do you recognize State 62?
I do.
Is this the script that was prepared for you by Ms. Adelson?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Move it out in State 62.
Got an objection.
No objection.
State 62 is removed.
And publish.
Keep right.
Whose notebook is this?
That's mine.
And whose handwriting is this on this first page?
That's Donna's, Miss Adelson.
Okay, so she wrote this in your notebook.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what is it you were supposed to do with this information?
I was supposed to study it and answer it correctly on the stand for her.
So this is what she wanted you to say in court.
Yes, ma'am.
So, for example, how did you know Donna Adelson? You were supposed to say everyone knew her. She's been on the news. I've seen and heard about this on TV shows and read it in the newspaper over the years.
Correct.
Do you read the newspaper?
No.
Okay. Did you know much about her or her case prior to coming in contact with her in the Leon County Jail?
No, ma'am.
And what were you supposed to do with this physical script?
I was supposed to copy it down and give it back to her.
Okay, copy it into your own handwriting?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you provide this item to my office?
Yes, ma'am.
And was it copied and returned to you?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do with it once you returned with the original to Leon County Jail?
Return it to her.
This says that you approached Mrs. Adelson and told her you had information about Kay that you wanted to give her. Is that true?
No.
This says that Kay told you that she told Charlie on the night of the murder that some friends of hers went to Tallahassee and killed him. Did Kay ever tell you that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. She asked him to give her the 1/3 of $1 million that he was going to pay his sister so that she could relocate with her children to Miami. He went crazy on her. He said that that was going to be an offer to his brother-in-law not to kill him. Did Kay ever say any of that to you?
No, ma'am.
I genuinely believe that most people have this opinion or perception that people who have done time are just not trustworthy by virtue of them doing time. And, as someone who does this for a living, who's in a courtroom, who sees defendants, who sees judges, who sees juries, who does all of this, I couldn't disagree with that notion more. I couldn't. Everyone makes choices. Some people make poor choices. Some people make not so poor choices. But regardless of what choice is made, consequences ensue. I think that there are some people that can just be considered as people who have had a rough life and made horrible choices. I don't think that's everyone, but I think that's some people. And I think that there's other people that are horrible people. That's just my opinion of it. All that to say, I don't believe that just because that these are jailhouse informants, that means that they're just immediately not credible. I don't believe that. I believe Patricia when she said that Donna bribed her and was trying to get her to testify falsely. I also believe Drina when she says that Donna wrote out a script for her and told her exactly what to say. I believe both of them. Donna strikes me as conniving, just nasty, just disgusting. And she strikes me as someone who just wants to be so in control of the lives of everyone around her that this is not so far-fetched to believe that she has done this. I believe that. I think that they testified credibly. I understand that they have their motives for testifying. I believe both of them probably said that they had pending cases and that they felt that this testimony might help them in their pending cases, even though nothing was promised to them. Okay. And just like that, you guys, we have wrapped up the entire second week of Donna's trial. But I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you think about the witness testimony so far. Do you think that Wendi is a credible witness? Do you think that Wendi tried to get Jeff Lacasse set up? Do you think that Umchinda and Ryan Fitzpatrick were good witnesses for the prosecution? Just let me know anything you want to let me know down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until next time, y'all take care.